There is one detail hiding in the From Season 4 finale trailer that I cannot stop thinking about. It's not the monsters walking through walls. It's not the red lightning splitting the sky open. It's not even the earthquake shaking Victor's cell while the walls crack around him. It's something smaller. Something that lasts maybe half a second on screen before the trailer cuts away. And once you understand what it means, everything else in this finale snaps into place with horrible, perfect clarity. A monster reaches into the cave chamber and swipes a talisman off the wall, casually, almost lazily, the way you'd peel a sticky note off a refrigerator before throwing it in the trash. That one gesture tells you the entire story of what the Season 4 finale is actually about. Because in 4 seasons of this show, we have never seen a monster treat a talisman like it was nothing. We have never seen them walk into protected spaces like those protections didn't exist. The talismans were the one concrete, reliable rule this show gave us. And in the finale trailer, that rule is gone. The shield is down. And the question the whole episode has to answer is simple and devastating. What did these people do to break it? The answer lives inside a single phrase that this show has been repeating since the very first episode of this season. And I think most people heard it and let it slide right past them without understanding what it was actually saying. Knowledge comes at a cost. That line was not throwaway dialogue. The man in yellow essentially said the same thing right before he killed Jin. Then it appeared again in the premiere. And then, if you were paying attention, it showed up written on the wall next to Jin's body in episode 2. The showrunners put that phrase in 3 separate places in the early episodes of this season, which in television writing language means one thing. This is the thesis. This is the rule that governs everything that follows. Every answer these people dig up, every escapery they uncover, every inch they get closer to understanding this place. Whatever is running Fromville, whether it's the man in yellow or something older and worse that he answers to, its entire operating principle is don't leave, don't search, don't act, and above everything else, do not touch the rituals. And here is where this season just went somewhere the show has never gone before, because we now know exactly which ritual this town is built on. Both Sophia and the man in yellow confirmed it out loud. Fromville doesn't just exist. It was summoned. It was constructed on a foundation. And that foundation is the sacrifice of children. That is the horrific bedrock underneath every monster, every rule, every strange loop of suffering this town runs on. Now here's the piece from episode 9 that a lot of people caught but didn't fully process. Tabitha shows the talisman to Boyd, and if you look at the drawing on it closely, there are 2 distinct figures, one on top, one on the bottom. And based on everything the lore has been building toward, those 2 figures are Tabitha and Jade, or more accurately, the people they were in a past life, the original versions of themselves who were present the night this whole nightmare was created. The dark ritual that built Fromville required 8 children, 8 sacrifices to complete whatever ancient terrible thing was being constructed. But the lore gives us account we've seen echoed in Jade's visions. The ritual site, the stones, the ceremony. 7. They only got 7, not 8. The whole plan failed. It failed because 2 specific people looked at what was being asked of them, looked at those children, and refused. They broke the ritual. They walked away. And in doing so, they saved one child's life, while dooming their own souls to reincarnate and return to this place across however many cycles have turned since then. But here's the other side of that coin, and this is where the theory gets genuinely beautiful in the most tragic possible way. Because their refusal didn't just fail the ritual, it created something. I believe the talismans exist because of what they did. The act of defiance by those 2 people in that original cycle generated a protection, a physical, symbolic record of their choice, carved into an object that could shield people from the monsters born out of the ritual they refused to complete. They are literally engraved on the thing that's been keeping people alive in this town. And then look at the symbols surrounding those 2 figures on the talisman. Most people glance at them and move on. But look again. Those small marks that almost look like a letter, that look like an F repeated over and over. What if they aren't letters? What if they are trees? Think about how many special trees we've encountered across this series. There's the main one in Fromville. There are others scattered around the town. There's the one Miranda built in her backyard in the real world. There's the one Henry was moments away from revealing before everything collapsed. Count them up, and you land somewhere in the range of 8. 8 trees, 8 positions, the exact same number as the missing sacrifice in the original ritual. What if those trees aren't just landmarks? What if they form a network, a grid, a cage that holds the town together and simultaneously shields the people inside it? 8 trees, functioning together as long as they all stand. Pull one out, and you don't just damage the grid, you break the circuit entirely. Every talisman in Fromville goes dark at once. And the finale is literally titled, If a Tree Falls in the Forest. That title is not being subtle with us. That is the show putting the entire mechanism of the episode in the title and trusting us to figure out what it means before we watch it happen. They are going to pull the tree. Boyd is going to commit to the plan. The desperate swing that seemed like such a smart read on the man in yellow's motives. And the second that tree comes out of the ground, every protection in this town evaporates simultaneously. The talismans die, the shield drops, and then the monsters, who have been banging against an invisible wall for decades, suddenly realize the door is open. A monster swiping the talisman off a wall like it's garbage. Smiley walking directly into the clinic during what should be the safest hours of the day. People running and screaming, not because the sun has gone down, but because the sun doesn't matter anymore. Red lightning cracking across a sky that looks like it's tearing open. An earthquake rattling the police station hard enough that Victor braces himself against the walls of his cell. Ethan screaming at Julie that they are not getting out alive. The town is not just angry. The town is finally, for the first time in the history of this show, behaving like something that is ending. And MGM actually dropped a hint about this before episode 9 even aired. On their Instagram, they told fans to go back and rewatch a specific scene. The scene where Victor explains to Tabitha and Sarah exactly how the main tree was made. Not from dark magic, not from the ritual, from the children's hope in their final moments. The purest possible thing, the last feeling those kids held on to before everything went wrong, crystallized into a tree that has been quietly protecting this town ever since. And the characters are about to tear it out of the ground because they think it's a cage, when it might actually be a shield. That is the kind of dramatic irony that genuinely hurts to sit with. The residents of Fromville have spent 4 seasons trying to find a way out. They finally think they found the mechanism. They're wrong in the worst possible way. And by the time they realize it, the talismans are already dead. Once the shield drops, the chess game is basically over. You are past the point of clever strategies. There is no plan B. We literally hear Boyd admit that in the trailer, when Christy asks him what they do now, and he has nothing. When a man who has survived everything this town has thrown at him for 4 seasons stands there with no answer, that is the show telling you the bottom has finally dropped out. And that is the moment the finale leans into Jade. There is a specific beat in this trailer that I have watched over and over, and every time I land on the same interpretation. Jade is talking directly to Tabitha. The framing of the scene, the way he's positioned, the urgency in how it's shot, he isn't strategizing with her. He is pointing her toward Ethan and Julie. He is telling her to run. He is telling her to get out and save her children. Which means Jade is telling her he's not coming. Think about where Jade's arc has been this entire season. His visions, his connection to the past cycle, the way he's been the one most deeply embedded in understanding the ritual and what it means and what it requires. If there is any character in this story who would understand that the only move left on the board is a human cost, it's Jade. And if there is any character the writers have been quietly preparing for a final act of self-giving, they have been doing it through him. Maybe it's to deal with the bones. Maybe it's to complete a delayed part of the ritual that their past selves never finished. The exact mechanics of what his sacrifice accomplishes are still obscured, but the emotional shape of it is clear. Jade stays behind, so Tabitha and the kids can get out. The man who has been haunted by visions of a ritual he once refused to complete, finally choosing to pay a price on his own terms. That's the tragic, poetic logic of the show. The original Jade and Tabitha broke the ritual and saved one child. This Jade might sacrifice himself so Tabitha can save 2. The cycle doesn't just repeat, it asks you to do it again, slightly differently, with slightly higher stakes, until the answer is finally complete. The red lightning, the broken talismans, the falling tree, and Jade standing in a cave telling someone he loves to run without him. It all connects. It's the same story the show has been telling since season 1, just finally arriving at the moment it was always building toward. And honestly, I think the thing I keep coming back to is this. The one piece of magic in Fromville that was built on something genuinely good. Children's hope, a couple's refusal, a moment of pure defiance against something evil, is about to be destroyed by people who are trying to do the right thing. Boyd didn't pull that tree out of malice. He pulled it because he thought it was the move that saved everyone. That's not a villain making a mistake. That's a hero making the worst possible good faith decision. And Fromville has always been most devastating when that's what breaks everything. So heading into Sunday, here's what I want to know from you. If Jade makes that sacrifice, does it actually work? Does the ritual finally get completed? Does something permanently shift in Fromville after this? Or does the town just absorb the loss and keep running? And what about the entity underneath all of this? The one the tree might have been sealing away? Does Season 5 go somewhere we've never even imagined yet? Drop everything in the comments. Because after this finale, this fandom is going to need a place to process it together. And I want that conversation to happen right here.